Welcome. We're going to run over the preseason preparation program, what we've outlined to help rec programs really prepare parent coaches for maximizing the impact of their practice time. One of the biggest complaints we always hear about is we don't get enough gym time. We don't have enough time to practice. We've got beginner players that need a lot of work, and we don't have enough time to get it all done. It's kind of the bane of most coaches' existence, and a problem that rec programs are always trying to solve. And so we're really trying to tackle it from the parent education side because all coaches are parents in the rec world. We're targeting parents to try to help them not only at home to assist their player with doing better practice, but also getting them thinking differently about how to run a practice when they're with their team. So, we're going to talk about the problem we solve, what we offer as a solution, how that works, what you'll get all packaged together, and then I'll make kind of my best offer for doing all of that for you and wrap up with a little bit about why us, why we should be the ones to actually help you solve this problem in this way. So, the problem we solve. What I see when I go watch practice is that it's spent very poorly. We have isolated skills. We're doing drill stations, skill stations around the gym. There's no decision making, no game applicability whatsoever, and we're really boring players to death to where they don't want to come to practice. Then we have drills that are often exciting for coaches to run. You can feel like you're managing a chessboard and you're coordinating and conducting beautiful music, but they're really not very applicable to games. And then we have scripted plays, which is where most coaches end up really because of a good intention, which is to coordinate teammates that have never played together before. We need some structure, some framework to get them all on the same page. But most coaches go too far down that scripted route, in my experience, and they end up programming players to be automatons, to where they actually pass up wide open shots and opportunities to score because they're focused on running the pattern. It's kind of a pattern memorization approach to offense in basketball, especially, and it just doesn't work that good. The defense can tear it apart, and the offense never really gets to the end of the scripted pattern where they were supposed to take the shot because it fell apart too soon. And we contrast that with where basketball is played. So I like to contrast the gray and white, black and white scheme with full color spectrum. We're trying to actually get players better at decision making and playing basketball, freestyle, improvisation based on some core principles and rules that can assist in the team chemistry and coordination without scripting it for them, and also to make our practice, most importantly, relevant to a game situation. So they see how this is going to help them, and therefore they're motivated to practice and work on what we're asking of them. And then all of our skills are kind of nested inside of game situations that involve decisions that then involve skills downstream from those decisions. And then skills become a lot of fun to work on because they are solving problems that players are aware of and know exactly how that skill is going to help them. So, what we offer for your rec program to help you prepare for your season. We've added these over the years of working with multiple different towns and cities here in the seacoast of New Hampshire. A new one for this year is actually a parent and player workshop, something we piloted last year and are rolling out at a bigger scale this year. Really, again, helping parents because they are the biggest leverage impact. They have the power to help their player practice better at home outside of the 1 hour per week we get with our rec team to practice as a team. They can do a lot of good for us. And so getting them on board with some of the ideas of how to practice and actually making them feel valued by their player, who as they get older tend to like roll their eyes at mom or dad or don't know what they're talking about, actually make them a advocate and a an asset to the player, even from the player's perspective. So the parent is actively assisting in the player's development. Number two is the hands-on coaching clinic. So we'll talk about this a little bit more, but my main difference from all other coaching clinics is that I get the coaches on the floor running around doing the actions that they will be coaching players on. So I treat coaches as players. I don't make them sit in the bleachers and just listen to me, because I can't tolerate that. And I think everyone learns better by doing. So the hands-on approach has been really fruitful with all of the towns that we've worked with in that. And then finally, we coach the coaches in a player clinic. So rather than just me showing up and coaching the players and doing my thing, for an hour or two and then they never see me again, my hope is to take this third layer and, having worked with the parents and the players a little bit in a workshop setting, having worked a lot with the coaches hands on in a coaching clinic, now we're able to come back with a third layer and have the coaches that will be coaching your teams coach the players in a clinic, while I kind of sit behind the scenes and help cue them up and give them feedback and coach the coaches, so they get some reps with some feedback and actually improve their coaching abilities during that portion, as well as the players benefiting from having instruction. So, how it works the parent player workshop, we're targeting to be scheduled first. These are going to be 90-minute segments. We have a menu of sorts with 4 different topics um, that we're allowing you to choose from, really based on what you think would be most impactful for your audience. And they're going to be scheduled in the October and early November timeframe. I know soccer, fall sports in general wrap up mid October, and so we're looking at kind of timing it with that. When people are turning their attention toward basketball, we tend to get better participation. And we're going to use that to help identify potential parent coaches. Anyone that's willing to come to a workshop, get on the court with their player, and do a little bit is probably a prime candidate for you to be talking to and put on your list for recruiting to be one of your team coaches or even assistant coaches. And our goal, again, I've talked about a little bit, is to maximize our parent impact outside of our team practices, where we really only get an hour a week and then an hour game day. We're trying to get them, hey, can you spend 10 minutes with your player twice a week outside of that and work on making layups, for instance, where if we ever get to a game and run all of our offense beautifully and we get to the rim and we break the layup, that's the worst thing that can happen. And so getting them comfortable helping their player with a couple of key skills that they're comfortable working on with their player at home can really have a big impact. And we're going to be doing these workshops with an age-specific content. So we have a whole curriculum for kindergarten to second grade, and then we've worked a lot with third and fourth grade, especially around 3-on-3 format, simplified basketball when teaching and practice, if not also playing league games in that format. And then, of course, 5, 6, and 7, 8th grade available as well. We kind of can calibrate that up or down based on the age group we're working with and make that fit for the parent and players that we're working with. Hands-on coaching clinic, we do a little bit longer, 2 hours, and typically you'll do a group of 12 coaches. It can be a little bit less than that. I don't want to go much more than that, so that we get everybody some reps walking through, again, as a player on the court, and get a lot of time to answer their questions. So we're going to be scheduling these early November, as registration wraps up and we start to see our teams. That's when coaches are really eager to oh yeah, I should brush up on what I'm going to do this year. We tell them to bring their sneakers. They're going to be on the court and getting in the action. Again, we can prioritize practice for each age level. So we could do 3 different clinics with, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, try to calibrate that to what the coaches are going to see. And our main focus here is going to be on the focusing on prioritizing practice. So a lot of coaches really struggle with, what do I work on first? How much time do I spend on each thing? And then simplifying for practice effectiveness. So really trying to do more with less, run less different drills throughout your season, get good at a few frameworks that are drills, and then pack a lot of skill building inside of those drills. So the players don't have to learn a whole new 11-man framework to run up and down the court and run to this line and do this thing. And it's okay, I know how this drill works, and now the coach can get into more detail of the skills we're trying to build. And again, we're going to spend a lot of time with these clinics doing Q&A, troubleshooting. Often have coaches that have coached in the past, maybe a different age group. They're moving up with their son or daughter that's aging up, and they have questions about what they should be working on, or they have problems they ran into in the past and they want help. And again, we're going to translate it for each age group so that the coaches are really getting the content that goes with what they're going to see. And then the coaches, the players clinic, we just do 1 hour typically for any of the age groups. And we're going to be scheduling these in mid-November, into early December. Some flexibility around that, really depending on the town schedule. I know like Rochester has tended to start in January for their actual league season, and so we've done everything a little bit later with them. Actually, done the player clinic into early January. The main framework we're going to use for this is 6 things in 60 minutes. That's what we give the coaches. We'll talk about our 6-week practice plan in a minute. But 6 things in 60 minutes, you're getting 10-minute chunks. You kind of lay them out. Every week's the same. We're going to go through these 6 chunks, and I can plug and play different things that we're going to work on, but have that simple framework that I'm always operating on can be really helpful. We're going to get them some practice leading, a situational game, a drill, or a basket station, where they're running. Maybe they're playing 3-on-3 at a basket. And we're going to get them comfortable. All right, here's how to rotate players. Here's how to get traffic moving fast and actually get a lot out of it in a short time. And then our coaches are going to be providing the demonstration of what we're working on, providing feedback to the coaches that are running things, and really give coaches multiple attempts. Like, hey, try explaining this. All right, let's try explaining that again. Right, and here's a different way to say it. And trying to give them as much feedback as they can to improve during that hour so that they capture, maybe it's going to be 2 or 3 concepts over an hour that really lock in with them. Like, okay, I can run this thing, this game situation. I can do this, every week of my season. I'm now comfortable enough with it. So, what you'll get with the package that we want to provide with the 3-prong approach, the 90-minute parent-player workshop. This is priced based on 3 age groups. So some towns will do K through 2nd, 3rd through 4th, 5th, 6th. There's a lot of variability with that depending on how many numbers you have in each age group, what makes sense. We can do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some will do K through 4 and 5 through 8. There's a lot of ways to break that down, but really based around 2 to 3 age groups that we can get done. In the parent player workshop would be 3 to 4.5 hours depending on how many groups we're doing. 2 hours with the hands-on coaching clinic. So again, this is based around 3 different sessions of 2 hours, and so 2 hours at a time. We're going to be 6 hours on the court to get that done. And then 1 hour on the coach's player clinic. We have that priced at $800 value for, again, 3 age groups. So total comes to $3,800 for the core of what we're trying to do here. And then over time, we've just developed a lot of things that go along with this to make it that much more helpful. So we have an online course that's 4 modules of about 30 minutes. Really just priming the brain, the same approach we take when we're training players. We try to prime their brain with a lot of the information, what we're going to do, why we're going to do it that way, what it's called terminology-wise, before they ever touch the court, so that they're not trying to execute something as they're trying to absorb a lot of information at the same time. The 6-week practice plan, something that we've laid out, basically 6 weeks of our 6 things in 60-minute model with some detail and a link on each drill to a video of that drill being performed in one of our past clinics. So really valuable for coaches. Like, all right, we're going to run this for 6 weeks. With most of our players in the rec program, we might have maybe we have an 8-week or a 12-week long season, but we can really run that 6-week practice plan. We just start over and rinse and repeat, because by that point in the season, a second layer on each of those concepts is actually helpful. Or by that time we're into a nuance of, we know our team, we know the problems we're struggling with, we've got plenty of practice material to roll through maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season after completing the first 6 weeks. And then this includes the video database that is linked to the practice plan I just mentioned, and also has its own just standalone playlist, so you can go through and just watch every drill we've recorded that goes along with the practice plan and study it. And so that's another $3,000 value. The rec program bonus box, a couple other things that we provide to the rec program. It's been helpful in the past. We might have 50%, if we're lucky, of all the participants that are going to play basketball, and the parents and the coaches actually come to our clinics and our workshops when we're on the court. So recording everything on video just allows all the people that didn't make it to have the benefit of that content and be able to watch a video on YouTube that's maybe edited down to 45 minutes if it was an hour clinic, and absorb as much as they can of what we were talking about. And then the practice audit is something we've included in the past. Basically mid-season, we're going to come in and watch a couple of practices, give coaches feedback. Again, we can usually find a time where we're back to back. It's the third, fourth grade coaches. Maybe they're doubled up to have a little more players in the gym than normally would. And then back to back with the 5-6 coming in right afterwards. And basically we can hit 4 out of maybe our 6 or 8 teams in those age groups. I can see 4 of our team coaches operating and be bouncing around, giving them feedback over a couple of hours' time. And then the parents bonus box. So this is something that we've just started rolling out. Basically, the business we're in is helping 7th graders play high school basketball. And so what we try to do through these clinics is meet parents that are a couple years ahead of that, so they get to know us and figure out what we're about. And so we're going to offer a free eval for all the 5th and 6th graders because they're kind of ready for our entry level program. And we're also going to provide a free drop-in session for the 3rd and 4th graders. And so we have a 4-week model for our younger kids in 7 to 10-year-old skill level. And basically they can drop in, try a free class, see if they like it, maybe come to that for a couple weeks or a month ahead of the season kicking off. And then we're also going to do a mid-season Q&A Zoom call. So we basically just send out a Zoom link, get it to your whole audience, invite all the parents and the coaches to come on. And we try to guide that conversation to like troubleshooting, right? Hey, we're having this problem when we're practicing at home, some of the stuff we learned in a workshop. Hey, coaches are having this issue when they are running practice or running into games. It's usually like 5th, 6th grade, mid-season. We just hit this team that ran a full court press for the first time. What do we do? Like, how do we troubleshoot that? And so we try to provide that, to your whole program of participants, which is usually, 100 to 120 if it's a small town, up to, 200 or 300 players across the different age groups in a bigger city. And so anyway, we try to roll all of that in to provide parents an extra perk and get each player a chance to come and meet us at our gym with the free offers. So all this adds up to over $11,000, which it's always surprising when I start stacking up all my pieces how that adds up. And so basically our offer is to do all of this because I've done the work in the past. This is like past investment for me. I've created all these extra bonus ideas, pieces of content, tools that are really helpful to coaches. So, to me, it's like an extra hour for me to come on a Zoom call, and it's a couple hours or 3 to come to do a practice audit, and then the time to come and do the actual clinics on the court. So we're able to pack a lot of value into it without costing me a lot more of my time immediately or any of our staff's time. And so I really want to get the opportunity to help more parents and more coaches and ultimately more players by reaching through the rec program audience that you are working with. So $32.99 is what we're offering for the whole package, everything included that we just talked about, soup to nuts. And basically we're going to get your 120 players and probably 15 to 20 coaches set up to have the best season they've ever had. And we can put you in touch with a couple of other program directors and coaches that have gone through our stuff and just had some fantastic feedback. And we'd love to work with you. So a little bit about us. Every program's losing players. So, why us is that they're losing players because of that practice spectrum I showed you where we're spending time on the wrong things. If we're doing isolated skills that don't connect in the player's mind to anything they're going to do in a game, and we're running, irrelevant drills that are maybe outdated because the parent that's doing it is remembering what they did in high school, 20 or 30 years ago now, and they're running really scripted offense. And so they're basically taking away any autonomy from the player, making it really boring. And so players are like, I would rather go do anything else in my time than go through that again, like I did last season. And so, the stats are out there of age 13, everybody drops off. About 70% of players stop playing at that point. So us, our whole mission is to improve practice. We call ourselves play practice because we play before we practice to make it relevant to the players and make it fun and engaging and keep them playing, hopefully, as a lifetime pursuit. Uh, we have 18 years experience. I guess this is should have been me. It's just myself and I. 18 years experience doing player development work. So I started right out of high school, found a great mentor down in North Carolina where I grew up, and dove into player development. I bounced around and coached some teams in different areas overseas in the Caribbean and out in Indiana at a big high school. And I always circled back to player development work, specifically with that 7th to 9th grade player that's trying to make it over the hump to play high school. And so that's kind of where we live. But along the way, we've kind of learned from parents and working with players like what works and doesn't work for all the ages up to that 7th to 9th grade, final push. And so we're really on a mission to help rec programs and parents and coaches set players off on the right track so that ultimately they don't need our help as much when they get to 7th grade. They're already progressing in a way that they're going to easily play high school basketball. And then the last 3 seasons, we've worked with the city of Portsmouth and the city of Rochester. The Seacoast Collaborative is kind of a new thing that's formed very loosely collaboratively with Nottingham, Raymond, Newmarket, um, Epping, and Oyster River. And it's been a fantastic coordination. I'm in Nottingham myself, so I've been involved with forming that, and now I've stepped away due to my commitments elsewhere with the business of play practice. And then we've also done some work with Coach Gallagher in Raymond and the town of Epping specifically. We did our whole coaching clinic and the Confident Coach online course going back 3 years ago. It was one of our first towns to really pilot that with. So we've got a lot of experience. I'm happy to provide references if you would like to talk to anybody else that has gone through this process with us. But I really think it would be a great fit if we can work with you and really help your parents get more prepared before they reach the first practice of their season by getting them some help ahead of time. Thanks for your time listening in, and I look forward to talking to you soon.